Ryan-san, are we good to go? All right. Thank you everyone so much for joining us today. Haitaigu wanne Mariko Yaibin, Monto Karachabitan, Yuta Sargutu, Anige Savira. Hello everyone, my name is Mariko. I am from Vermont. I am a diasporic Shimanchu, and I am here welcoming you to the forum, the permanent forum on Indigenous issues, and we are here at the People's Forum. So thank you all for joining us. Before I begin, I just want to acknowledge that we are here as guests on Lenape land. So thank you. And I also want to thank our friends at People's Forum. Ryan, thank you so much. This is his second year helping. So those of you watching online, thank you to Ryan for making a seamless presentation. I also want to thank our partners from iINDIGENOUS, who without this collaboration, we would not be here. Thank you very much. We are so grateful for your partnership and collaboration. And last year we met for the first time, and this year we are collaborating, which is incredible, né? And it is actually the reason why we have named our panel today Ichariba Choodee. So Ichariba Choodee is a beautiful Okinawan saying that is, once we meet, even if by chance, we are brothers, we are sisters, we are family. And so this is a true representation of that connection. So thank you very much. And to begin our panel today, we have several folks. I'm going to go ahead and introduce. We have Victor Kinjo.
Hello.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, everyone.
Shinako Oyakawa. Yes. And then Lex McClellan-Ufugusuku. And Yuken Teruya-san. Thank you. And thank you so much to Yuken for joining us. Unfortunately, Anne-Maria Shimabuku was unable to join us, but Yuken is going to be presenting in her space. So thank you. And I invite you all to just be present, to breathe and join us. I'm going to begin with a brief prayer. So acknowledge yourself for being here and be grateful for the land, the space. サリュートートアートートウヤファフジウカミシティグアフデービルチューヤユカルヒマサルヒ It is the UN Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues Debiru. I'd like to welcome in the directions. Againu kamiganasi Irinu kamiganasi Nishinu kamiganasi Finu kamiganasi. Ukami no menso charukutu, shiriguafu debiru. Uyuhafu jiganasi, ukamiganasi. Mimanti misori, utabi misori. Sariutoto, autoto. And so, yes, we welcome the spirits of our ancestors. We welcome the spirits of the land. And we ask that you look over us, you inspire us, you guide us, you protect us on this day. All right, thank you very much. And without further ado, we would like to begin with Tinsagu no Hana, which is an Okinawan song led by Victor Kinjo. And I think we're going to do this call and response style. We will have the lyrics up on the board here. So Victor will lead, and then we will try and respond. And imperfect is totally perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Maybe next slide.
Next slide. Oh, okay, sure.
I also really want to thank our online supporters. We had a GoFundMe, and without these folks, our delegation from the Ryukyus would not be able to be here. So, hontoni, like, thank you so much for all of your contributions. We were able to exceed our goal, and thank you so much. Without you, this would not be possible. Okay, now Victor Kinjo will do Tinsagu no Hana.
金作の花や君さてみすみて親のよしごとやチームにすみに親のよしごとやチームにすみになしばなにごとんなゆることやしがやさゆいからどならんさだみやさゆいからどならんさだみAt the end, we can try again. Yeah.
Okay, folks, we're going to do the call and response at the end. Oh, let's see here. Oh, and then Tinsaku no Hana, we have the translation for those of you who would like to know the English version of. It's beautiful. じゃあ次、Shinako Oyakawaさん、お願いしてもいいですか？
하이타이 구스요 주가나비라 주야와타야 시계의 様々なところから来るニューヨーク会ゆすりてちゃびたわねうちなからゆすりてちゃびたしが名前うるこどうてくらちょいびん親川しなこなといびんいたされくとにげさびらit's our maybe fourth or fifth time coming back to UN for permanent forum as our association called ACSILs. We established this association 2013. At the time, we were told to celebrate the 40th anniversary of reversion. Once we had a kingdom, like we were independent country, nation, and then we have really good relationship with other parts of worlds like Asia, where we have like a little boat to travel around the world. And it was really nice to have brothers and sisters all other part of the world. But after the colonization, we become part of Japan. And then our ancestor needs to struggle with the assimilation. And still now we have a lot of issues related to this colonization. And we call it Okinawa issue, but is it like our issue? No. But we have so many issues every day. Like every day, if you open the newspaper, and then we have tons of unbelievable issues everywhere here and there. And then it's all related to colonization. After Japan came, our ancestors needs to speak Japanese. So I was born in Okinawa and then I grew up speaking Japanese. And then I speak a little bit in my language for opening, but I didn't know we had language. I didn't know Uchinaguchi, the Okinawan language, is a language. I didn't even know we are Uchinachu, we're Okinawan people. It's different from Japanese because we were told you're Japanese, you have Japanese passport, you speak Japanese language, you have Japanese education. So I didn't realize I am Okinawan I have my, language there, my cultures there, until I start to study in Hawaii, University of Hawaii, in 2003 or four or so. So I was really like an adult, like a 20, early 20s. I'm 44 now, and then once I realized, okay, so if it's if I'm Okinawan, what does that mean? And then I met Hawaiian people in Hawaii, and then I realized this is something similar. Like we share so many similar history, similar background, colonization, language loss, identity loss, and then land rights. It's so many things are so related. So I realized like, okay, this is why people needs to use the word indigenous. So we are indigenous people. We had life before colonization. And we were taken like everything literary, life, land, water, language, and everything. But we still here. We are alive and we are here. And then we are claiming our rights. This is about it. I start to recognize about that. And then I was so excited and going back home in Okinawa. And then I told my grandma, I want to speak Okinawan language. Because I'm Uchinanju, so I want to learn Uchinanguchi. So my grandma cried so hard, okay, Shinako, listen, we, collect money from everywhere and then send you to overseas to study English. Why do you need the language? Why? This is something we try to get rid of it, in front of you. Like we want to erase everything, like Okinawa. Why? Because I'm indigenous. And then she was like crying, don't use that word. That's so hard, like harmful for her. But I try to understand her trauma, their generation really needs to do a lot. And then they're the war survivor too. So they can, it wasn't really easy for them to say like we're indigenous. But I think it's our responsibility for our generation. We go overseas, we talk to other indigenous people, and then we realize our indigeneity, and then we want to claim our, rights for next generation. It's because we respect our ancestors and we want to do something for our next generation. That's what we are doing here in UN, and then we about like so many hundreds of people from all over the world come to UN to claim their rights. This is something what we are doing as ACSILs. I personally, I teach at the university part-time, and then also I have a children's after-school program that's for the elementary school students. And then they don't have any chance to learn about our language, our history, culture at public school. So I thought it's a good idea. I just started for myself, like for my kids. But I thought it's really good idea to learn about Okinawa using the time to, play and then eat snack. And then when we go outside, we do a lot of field trip to visit Okinawa, like a cultural spot or like a historical spot, like a ruin castles or so. Yeah, it's really, really cool because like we, parents cannot teach, and then more older generation don't want to teach. But we have really like a nice, beautiful oceans, like a natures and the cultures are living still in Okinawa. So that's something I want to share to our next generation. That's what we are doing. And during that, because my specialty is about language revitalization, I decided to learn my language in 20s, but I'm still not really comfortable speaking, not that fluent. Still, I use it. And then whatever I have, I just teach my, our kids. Like we have 60 kids. They come every day jumping around. So we sing things like hana, we, dance. And then we pray with the, lot of like a praying game with using Okinawan language. And then it's expanding now. Like we, last year we have students from Stanford University. Fourth generation Uchinanchu wanted to do intern in our kids club. So they came, he came and then he make the little like games using app. And then since like kids really love, using the app to do the game. So using that, like they are learning the language, and then they play with the game. And then this year, students from Hawaii came, and then they joined our program too for support, teaching Uchinaguchi. So it's really interesting things is happening. And then that's because of like we have diaspora, we have Uchinanchu not only in Okinawa, but Japan, but Brazil, America, Hawaii, and then everywhere. This is like a disconnection. It's really important as Uchinanchu. So I really appreciate this time again. I'm just only one from Okinawa. Well, you guys are from Okinawa too, but for like a permanent forum. But we have my brothers from Brazil and then sisters from America. So this is really good combination. Get together and then work for our ancestor and then our children, next generation. Yeah. Okay. So who speaks next? If any, David.
Yeah, thank you,
I
Shinako-san.
can do it from here. I think it's okay.
Next, we have Lex McClellan-Ufugusuku. Please take the floor.
Hi, thank you, Ganabira. One McClellan-Ufugusuku, Chan Yaibin, Wata Yafa Fuje, Tsukazan, Shitahaku Karaja Bitan, Yutasargutu Nige Sabira. Hi, my name is Alexis McClellan-Ufugusuku. I am mixed race Uchinanchu, originally from San Diego, California. My mom was raised in Okinawa, but she's actually born on Yokosuka base. And my oba-chan was born on Tinian in Nanyo after the war. She grew up in Tsukazan village in Haebaru. And I'm starting with this because it's only been in the last couple weeks that actually I've been able to track down more of my family tree. And so for the first time in my life, I actually have the names of my oba-chan's oba-chan and my ba-chan's hi-oba-chan. So I kind of want to bring those in as well. They were from Shitahaku in Kochinda, which is now Yaese. My hi-oba-chan's name was Ufugusuku Kamere. It was her warabina. Her Japanese name was Yuki, which I always think is very ironic because there's no snow in Okinawa. But my oba-chan's oba-chan was Kamiya Ushi, and my oba-chan's hi-oba-chan was Kamiya Undaru. And so wanted to talk about that a little bit today because learning that gave me a lot of joy, being able to think about the women in my life. For me, I am Uchinanchu because of my mother and my grandmother. And so the way in which I was raised to be an Uchinanchu is very much as a strong Uchinanchu Inagu because of them. So thinking about their moms and all the women that came before me. I originally was going to talk about something very different today. My original plan was to talk about the history of Ryukyu and the United Nations. I am a historian by training, and so this is what I am writing a dissertation on. That's due next month. It will get done, hopefully. And so that was my original plan, but as I think many of us have seen in the news, this week it was announced in the news that there was 3 more cases of violence against women by US Marines in Okinawa. And I feel like, for me, I have particular skubun to talk about this issue. My oba-chan is a Uchinanchu woman, but my grandfather was a Marine. And so coming from both of those histories, I'm feeling this week very heavy in particular, and I think we need to talk about it. Not because it's a fun thing to talk about, but it's happening right now. It's actually what we were, the intervention we gave this morning to the permanent forum had to entirely rewrite in the last 2 days to just be about this, because it is so important, and it's been happening for a very long time. And so I'm just briefly going to chat about sexual violence against women, specifically coming from military folks in Okinawa because it's a very long, painful history. But it's not new. It's been happening in Ryukyu since Okinawa, or since Americans landed in Okinawa in 1945. Tracing the history from 1945, there was a really infamous, heinous case called the Yumiko-chan incident in 1955, in which a kindergartner was kidnapped, raped, and murdered by a serviceman. This continued to happen hundreds of times throughout the USCAR period, and that's only what is reported, only what we know. It's likely the numbers are much higher, in addition to everything that is not reported. We flash forward a little bit and we get to 1995, and 1995 is, again, a very infamous case in a string of very, very heinous crimes. And if you're unfamiliar with this, this case, it is a turning point in a lot of ways for thinking about the structure of the US-Japan military agreement. And if you do know about this case, I'm really sorry to have to talk to you about it because it's hard to hear again. But so in 1995, a 12-year-old Okinawan girl was, again, kidnapped, raped, this time by 3 service personnel, and she was left in a dumpster outside Kadena, where she was later found. And I bring this up because after the 1995 rape case, it led to so much protest in Okinawa that called for rethinking of the status of forces agreement to the US, called for these men being extradited from the US back to Japan to face criminal trial. And eventually all 3 did stand trial in Japanese courts. That's not always the case, especially in the USCAR period when the Ryukyu Islands were legally pretty much part of the military justice system. That was not possible. 1995 was a big turning point because it changed the public perception that it was not okay for military folks to go back onto base, not report it, get sent to the US, and then never have to face those crimes. We can go into it much more, but that system is still not perfect, and it's not easy to deal with. Although it is possible to get some justice now, it is very difficult to get justice. I'm going to, so there is, it's also difficult to get data on what this looks like in the present because it hasn't been updated in quite a while. So the most recent data we have specifically for military on civilian violence is from 2001 to 2018, this period. And for Okinawa Prefecture, the prosecution rate for these types of crime was 1/3 of Japan's national average. In other numbers, it was 13% of these crimes actually got prosecuted. So an incredibly low number of the cases that are happening. And again, there's probably so many other cases that don't get reported that we do not know about. Which brings us back to today. I think a lot of us started to have this more of on our radar probably about last year in the summer when several cases came to light shortly after the election in Okinawa Prefecture. I believe one of those cases has now been tried, and I think he was prosecuted, but the other 2 are awaiting trial still. What is happening right now is there's 2 separate instances where in January and in March, 2 Marines, sorry, I'll split them up. One Marine has been credibly accused of sexually assaulting one woman, and another Marine has been credibly accused of sexually assaulting a second woman, and then when someone else came to help her, he beat her. And so that's how we get to this number of 3 violent crimes against these women, 2 of which were sexual assault. because they went back to base, because they are on the military base, it is not possible for the police to just go and interrogate them or go and question them. The way that the current treaty is set up is that police make a request to US base authorities for permission to enter the base. And then once they are on base, they ask if the people being accused would like to voluntarily have a conversation with the police. They are allowed to say no. And so they're very much shielded by this military infrastructure, which essentially is US soil in a different country. Time is also of the essence. If we know anything about military folks, it's that they get sent all over the world. So what does happen if these two men have a duty station change? What happens if they get sent outside of Japan? It will be very hard to get them back. Not impossible if they get sent to the US, but very, very difficult without public pressure. The only reason 1995 succeeded in having those three men extradited back to Okinawa to face trial in Japanese courts was because the massive amount of public pressure that came up because of that. Okay, so, which brings me to what can we do? I know it feels very hard when we are all so far away from Okinawa, so far from where this is happening. But I do think that we live in an age where news and public pressure is being generated on social media, and we can use that to our advantage. Because this has been happening so much back in Ryukyu, our family over there, our friends, are tired, rightfully so. Every few months there's a new case. It's hard to keep that momentum up. It's hard to protest all the time and just keep losing in the courts, or it keep happening because nothing has been changed. Part of what we can do on our end means that we talk in spaces like this. It means that we submit whatever we can to the UN. In addition to the intervention that we made this morning, there are other legal mechanisms within the United Nations system that we can make these reports to. Specifically, because this is disproportionately happening to Uchinanchu women, we can make the case that we can make the case to the Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination that this is specifically affecting Uchinanchu women, and Japan is not doing its job to protect a minority within Japan. We also can use what's called the CEDAW, the Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women. We can put forward reports in that mechanism as well. These are just a couple of the really big legal mechanisms that are very kind of scary to think about. But also, many of us live here. We have Congress people, and a lot of Congress people also sit on the Foreign Affairs Committee. They sit on the Armed Services Committee. I know I'm from San Diego. San Diego is a really big military community as well. We have 3 major bases. I personally grew up next to Camp Pendleton. Sarah Jacobs is on the Armed Services Committee, you know. It's easy to find this information, and if it's your congressperson or your senator that is on one of these committees, they're more likely to take into account your calls because you're an actual voter of theirs. More likely to take into account any emails you send, flooding emails. I have an automatic thing. I send an email every single day. Flooding the zone type of thing. It's going to take a lot of time, and I get that people are very tired right now, but trying to brainstorm about what we can do next, because the victims of these really heinous crimes, people back home need to spend their energy supporting them and getting them some healing, some mental health resources, trying to get them reparations. There are small things that we can do here, but a lot of small things adds up. I always like to bring this up because I feel like being Uchinanchu in the US can feel very isolating sometimes. Maybe you have one Uchinanchu friend you go to school with. Maybe you got lucky and you grew up with some other mixed Uchinanchu people, and you, or Yorobachan also moved to the US like-minded. But we are not a small people. There are 1.4 million Ryukyuans in the world. Several hundred thousands of them live between North America and South America, not to mention Hawaii. I think one of the Kempi this year is from France. Another Kempi is from South Korea. Our diaspora is very big, and so we have to use the skills that we have living all over the world, because we're very flexible people, you know? We're super smart. We can make it anywhere. We have to figure out how to do that from all these different directions to start putting that pressure, mostly on the US, but also on the Japanese government. All right, ipeni he debitan.
All right. Thank you, Lex, for that important, very critical passing of information. And I know that was very heavy. Yeah, I have, yeah, I will speak next, but I also just want to honor this moment. I don't typically read prepared statements, but I'm going to see if I can sit in here and. Okay, thanks everyone. It's actually, take a moment to breathe. I want to start by acknowledging this moment in time, the effort that we have all made to be here when there is so much that's happening in the world right now. How much each of us holds in our bodies, our minds, and our spirits. The ways that the world asks us to show up for your parents, for your children, for your friends, for work, for school, for community, for the earth, for solidarity, to meet in this moment in time where there are unprecedented levels of uncertainty and chaos and news that's coming out every day. With attacks that threaten our human rights, aim to take away our identities, employ tactics of fear to silence our voices, that spotlight injustice, and send prayers for liberation, equality, and peace. So there is a lot in this context right now, in this moment, and we are all holding that. And I invite you all to take a moment to just slow down and connect with your body, your physicalness, your heartbeat, your breath. I find that I connect best to myself when I close my eyes and put my hands on my chest and on my stomach. And with every exhale, I try to make a conscious effort to release any feelings of heaviness. And it is really heavy right now. So I invite you all to do this throughout this presentation, and maybe even now more than ever because of the content of what we are talking about, and just to honor those feelings as they're moving through you. And I invite us, especially those of us who are Ryukyuan and in diaspora, to bring your awareness to your belly button. As humans, we all have one. And yeah, so belly button, the place that connects you to your mother, and then think of her belly button that connected her to her mother, and so on. This umbilical cord that transfers nutrients from being to being and soul to soul is something we all have. And there is a beautiful Ryukyuan indigenous practice, and in other indigenous practices as well, outside of the Ryukyus, of burying the umbilical cord in the earth of our island or out into nature in some way, so that our bodies may also nurture the earth as it nurtures us, so that we exist in reciprocity and undeniable, inextricable connection to home. So if you're able to, I hope, or I invite you to imagine that cord that connects you to your ancestors back into that land and to give thanks. Even if we are far from our island, even if perhaps we have never actually physically been there, know that in your body you have a direct connection to your mother, to her mother, all the way back through, tied through blood and pain and love to our home islands. Okay. So it is in this place of openness and centeredness and slowness and respectful contemplation that I hope we can enter this space to talk about Hajichi. And it was supposed to be about Hajichi. And I know there are people in this room that might not know what Hajichi is. So I attempt in a very reductionary way, but for the purposes of sharing further, to define it. And so Hajichi for me is a traditional cultural tattoo practice worn by Ryukyuan women as symbols that were tattooed over the course of their life to reflect and honor important moments and unapologetically signify where in the islands we were from. It is a practice that was banned by Japan when they colonized the Ryukyus in 1879. And in the last few years, there have been a resurgence, reclamation of this practice by people with Ryukyuan ancestry, especially those in diaspora, outside of present-day Okinawa Prefecture. And there is so much more to Hajichi than that, but I will leave it there. Oh, yeah, thank you. I have a bunch of slides, and I don't know what order they're in. Oh, yeah. This was this morning looking out at New York and a little prayer. Victor and I, Victor played some Sunshine, and we moved and we sang and we toned together. Yeah, truly beautiful. Oh, yeah, okay. So this is going to be a little out of order, but I just want to acknowledge that everything has been happening so fast. And I personally have been dealing and grappling with exactly what to say, how to express what is feeling, especially with what is happening with Hajichi, which I know everyone is so curious about. And I do not want to speak on behalf of Hajichi. I am not an expert on Hajichi. I do not think anyone is or can be an expert. And so what I share with you today is my own personal reflections, deeply intertwined with my identity and experience as a diasporic Shikeno Uchinanchu, Winagu, woman, champuru, mixed race, child of a US Navy father with roots from Vermont in the US, and a mom who was born and raised in Sashiki, Okinawa. I spent my formative childhood years across the US, Maryland, South Carolina, Okinawa, Connecticut, and Vermont. I wasn't going to say this, but I was living in Okinawa. I was in second grade in 1995 when that rape happened. And that truly scarred me. The person that happened to was, I did not know them, but they were a couple years older than I was. And I was going to school at a very vulnerable time as a mixed kid at Kitanaka Shogakko. And I experienced the full anger of the Okinawan people as a mixed child. And from that experience, I think that was the trauma and also the love and compassion that I have and the importance that I know and the capacity for healing that exists within me, again, as somebody that is mixed, to help be the medicine in this time, to advocate for the people who cannot advocate for themselves, because it was truly horrific. And I love my parents very much, and they are wonderful people, but I am a product of US military colonization. That was a little insert there. Yeah, so I want to center my Okinawan family, who is up here. This is my mother's family in Sashiki. They're a beautiful family, and I just wanted to bring them into this space. Yes, so I believe that Hajichi, this concept of Hajichi, is its own being with its own entity and its own spirit. Like, please think about it animistically. It has its own story with a beautiful and intimate expression, which is shown through us as humans. We are the medium through which Hajichi expresses itself. And when I allow myself to feel into Hajichi, this entity, to empathize and relate to its story, I feel overwhelming grief. And it is challenging to distill what that feeling is currently, because I am trying so hard to slow down, to rest, and lean into reverence when there is so much going on. Okay, and I say this not as an external prescription or directive, but a reminder, especially to myself, to slow down, Hajichi is intrinsically tied to our identity, and identity work is grief work. It is slow, painful, layered, complex, and often paradoxical. And as a proud wearer of Hajichi, and as a Hajicha, someone who is tattooing Hajichi for others, it is a privilege to be here, to have access to these spaces and platforms such as this. And it's through dedication to this identity work and also luck. I don't know how I am here, but I am here, and I will use every moment that I have to advocate for my friends, my family, and those who do not have representation. Oh my gosh, I have so much to say. Yeah. Hajichi has so many expressions. And it's so, yeah, I don't know, maybe there's something here. These are my grandparents, great-grandparents. Here are lovely expressions of Hajichi. We have been finding ourselves, it is becoming reclaimed. We are, in this moment, it is very explosive, and I think that's why I'm trying to come back to this slowness. There was a moment in time where there was not a lot of information, and it was a very personal and intimate thing to connect with somebody else that had Hajichi because it wasn't out there. And I just wanted to center these three photos. 2 are in Hawaii, 1 is in New York for Hajichi meetup, where we talked about our stories with each other. We called our parents, our ancestors, our mothers into the room with us. We shared their names, where they were from, and their hopes and their dreams. Just wanted to share a few more expressions of Hajichi. You might see your hands up there. I see you. Yeah. I love that one of these hands is holding a cigarette. And yeah, I think more than anything, the message that I want to share about Hajichi is that, again, nobody's an expert and nobody should tell you how Hajichi should be or should not be. There's no right way to do Hajichi. It is an expression of authenticity, and your relationship to it is your own. I love seeing Hajichi in modern spaces and in rural spaces. That one in the middle is my hand over a camping light, and it illuminated from underneath. And then flying through the airplane. How many Hajichis have flown through the airplanes? Probably a lot now. Yeah. Yeah, just beautiful expressions. Yeah, all 3 Winagu at the UN have Hajichi. How cool. This is something that I drew on one of the planes. I think Lex may have coined the term Shimaverse. But there is a wonderful community that is online that we are finding each other. And I like to think about the evolution of Hajichi. Tradition for tradition's sake is very outdated. I imagine that Hajichi will continue to grow, and I'm excited to see the way that it grows. The milestones that we would receive Hajichi for are changing. Yeah, the sacredness of Hajichi. I had so many things that I wanted to share during this, and I'm just going through. I did want to take a moment to talk about Hajichi in academic spaces. I really do want to center again that Hajichi is a living entity of its own. And anybody that is hoping to study or feature Hajichi, I hope that they will approach it with respect. There have been publications that have come out with questionable sources. And rather than focus on that, I ask you all to be responsible and think critically about what kind of information you consume. As people who have been colonized and then studied, a lot of the resources out there are written by colonizers. And so think critically about what information you are seeking out and then choosing to believe. I love oral history because those stories are true, nah? Like, and they are. Nobody can tell you that they're not true. Talk to your moms, your ancestors, or your grandmas, and what Victor has said sometimes is, like the fact that we're like. We are pieces of each other remembering each other. Nah? Like people in Brazil or Hawaii or here in the US or in Japan, we all hold keys to each other, like a piece of the puzzle. So I hope that we can all, I hope that we can all remain open enough to hear each other and not devalue each other's experience because it's different. But in hope that it amplifies and creates a more rich and diverse picture of what Hajichi could be. Okay, so I had a lot of things to say. I'm so sorry. I will try to consolidate, but my prayer from here, and I guess a reminder, is that being Ryukyuan is not about having Hajichi or not. There is no right way to do something, and I do caution against that binary thought or prescription on what is authentic. If somebody says something is authentic or tries to tell you that it is, I strongly encourage you to look into that and make your own assessment. No one can tell us who we are and who we are not. I pray that Hajichi, its story, continues to be told for many generations into the future, and that our grandmothers are smiling and proud of the work that we are doing. So may it be so. Ippe ni hede biru. Okay, I'm also the MC, so thank you all. I think maybe we will move to Yuken-san. Daijoubu desu ka? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Talk? Yeah, that's a great. Yeah, maybe we'll take this as a moment for Q&A. So anything that we've talked about or any burning reflections, we're happy to hand the microphone. And it's also a very heavy time too. So if you need to get up and move around and like move your body, I think we talked a lot about trauma, and usually we do trauma content warning. So apologies for talking real talk. Any questions, folks?
Thank you. Okay. Hi. Hi, my name is Caroline Weaver. My grandma is from Ikemajima, off of Miyakojima. And a lot of what you were talking about related to recalling language and history and wanting to connect more to your identity, but having trouble broaching the subject with trauma intact is something that I've really been resonating with, because my grandma is the only person from our family that lives in the US and that I have regular contact with. And she is very much of a place of deep, deep trauma and not wanting to recount any of her life in Okinawa, because she moved here in the late 50s, and she lived through, obviously, the war and everything. And so for me, there's a lot of disconnect and like a little bit of isolation and lostness, because I don't want to disrespect her or cause her too much pain, like remembering these things, but I also deeply want to connect with like my people and my family and those things. And so I'm wondering like how you approach that in your own life and where you are able to find connection or find parts of your family's story, and if and how you kind of like deal with that within your family.
Thank you. Great question. Chan, you want to take it?
Is there any like thing to you, action that your grandma does that you think is like so her?
Force feeding me.
Force feeding you.
カメ。
Kame. Yeah. I get that a lot. My family is very much the same way. I have the luxury of being a historian. And so for me, a lot of the ways that I have connected to my family is thinking about the actions they do and why. And so it's not necessarily asking them about the difficult times. Why do you always give me so much food? Why do you always give me so much food? It's because they lived through a time where there was major food scarcity. I know it's kind of getting around what that connection is, but for me, whenever my obachan like gives me another, what's in English? What's budon?
What?
Budon.
Little grape.
Grapes. My grandma will like peel the budon, the grapes, one by one, and I and then just hand me them with no peels. And I think about all the time she spends just on this one piece of food. And it makes me feel more connected to a time thinking about like the first time she would have done that. You know, I don't have to ask her about the first time she peeled a grape, but I imagine that it was like a big milestone in her life. And so flipping it sort of that way, if that makes sense. Yeah.
My grandfather, he passed away, I think 4 years ago. Was a anti-landowner, anti-base landowner.
Yes.
What is it a word? So he had his property but it's taken by the U.S. So he cannot go back to his, home place. So he was like a big, like a peace fighter. He is like a center of every movement, and he really, wants to against every like a war and a war related like a militarism and everything. So we told like he's okay speaking his like memories during the war because he does it all the time. He sometimes invited to school to talk about his memories during the battle. But I recognize he couldn't sleep for a while, and then he has he cries after he does that, and then I didn't really recognize that because he's like a strong leader, and then I thought it's okay things for him, but he wants to do it still because this is only he could do to pass down memories for next generation. So he suffered a lot, but he wanted to do it. And then I asked why, and he said because this is what I can do, but it's not it's not easy things to do. So you cannot force them other people to do it. But sometimes I remember my elementary school days that teacher asked the students to ask your grandparents' experience about the Battle of Okinawa, really like homework, but it's not really easy in that way. But even after it's like this year is the 80th anniversary after the war, so some people keep it for 80 years, but later then they want to talk. There are sometimes there is a moment they want to share, but share and then not share. And in any case, it's their choice, and then our patience should be there. But if you after he died, I really regret, I should ask this, I should ask that too. But still, it's really good to have time together. So maybe there should be the chance, or should not be the chance. But being together and then talk a lot, I think it's one of the remedy for the trauma. So it's please take care of grandma, and then if you have chance to go to Ikema Island, and then maybe that's good present for her too. Welcome.
Victor, did you?
Did you want to answer that question? Yeah. Okay, Victor.
I'm gonna introduce myself then. Hai saigu suyo chuganamira. Wanne Kinjo Victor Yaibin Yuta Surgutu Unige Sabira. And so, hello everyone. I'm Victor Kinjo, and I'm a Okinawan Brazilian. So, like my grandparents, they went to Brazil before the war. So I was listening to you, and I was like, I don't know. I can talk from the others now. Like we are more than 100,000 Okinawans in Brazil, but so I cannot talk for them. But it's interesting, at least, that for us this relation with the war, with the Battle of Okinawa, is so different because we didn't know about that, or maybe even nowadays most of Okinawan Brazilians never heard about the Battle of Okinawa, because there's a problem of representation. Like we are born and raised as Nikkei, né? So we have maybe now in the past years, because of all this work, things are starting to change. But we were born and raised as Nikkei, and we are seen as Japanese from everyone in Brazil. So our first struggle, identitary struggle in Brazil, is being Brazilian and being an Asian Brazilian. Né? So for me, it's very important, and it was very important to read, because I don't read Japanese well. So the information that I received when I was doing a PhD, so I was studying the post-war in Japan, like post-war literature. And then, but I was studying like Mishima Yukio, like a Japanese author. Né? And then, but then I realized that, oh my God, but like the post-war in Okinawa was totally different from what was going on in Tokyo. Né? And of course, I started to reconnect with my Okinawan ancestry also when my grandfather was already sick, and né? And I mean, I was just an Asian Brazilian trying to not to be different from any other Brazilian. It didn't work. It didn't work. I failed. And then I realized that I didn't know the story about my grandfather. So I started to ask him, where are you from? Why did you come? And then he gave me a book. And then I was aware of the history of Ryukyu. Né? So, and then when I went to Okinawa the first time in 2009, it was shocking for me because it was the first time in my life, I was already 25, that I was not an ethnic minority. Né? So it's like I was, oh my God, everyone is like me. So it was good. And in the same time, my Japanese is very bad, and everyone was like, oh, wow, you are not from, like, I mean, you are in the same time. And this is something very beautiful about the indigenous identity, because like I'm not a Japanese citizen. I don't have a passport. I'm not Japanese in this sense, but I am Uchinanchu. Like the indigenous identity, it's not a national identity. It's a pre and post identity. So it's very beautiful to feel belonging. So we are all Uchinanchu. And yeah, so I think there are many ways, many ways to make this reconnection. It was not easy for me. My parents were already born and raised in Brazil, so there was this gap. They never went to Okinawa, my parents. And yeah, I mean, for me, it was studying, it was reading about, and then through arts, which is a little bit of what I'm gonna talk today. Yeah, so I think that somehow it's very personal in the same time, but it's very good that we can share our experience. Then you realize that there are many ways to become and to go. But like I would really, as Shinako-san said, I think it's very nice to go there. Like when you are there, now you drink the water, or can you swim in the sea, and then you can understand many things without words, without many. I mean, directly with your own body. So are you ready? But yes, I think it's hard, I have to say also, but it's very important, you know, to listen your voices, the voices of Okinawan women. Like this is like still the communities are still very patriarchal in the diaspora. So for me, it's very nourishing also, and to know that we have this power, this powerful women. Like our delegation is a women's delegation, like they're leaders, and this makes me very proud and very happy, you know, to be with you. So thank you, thank you. And yeah, so
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Victor. I'm reminded of Tinsagu no Hana, like some of the translation about the Uya. And there's a relationship between child and elder. And could you just say a quick word about that? It's very appropriate.
we didn't sing at that time, but we will yet because we were starting. I'm just going back here to the stage. Yeah, like and also I wanted us to know more about the importance of the language of our history, to know the importance of why we should sing. And this is another way for us to reconnect. Because guys, like this language, Uchinaguchi, it's an indigenous language, it's an ancestral language, and is in the process of disappearance. It's in risk of disappearance. And when I was studying PhD and all this, like because we don't have our history written in the books very well, so that's why also I didn't know about the Battle of Okinawa, because I investigated the history books of Brazilian education, and there's not Okinawa there. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. The Ryukyu kingdom, like the end of the Second War was because of the bombs, but not Okinawa, Battle of Okinawa. You know, so we have to rewrite our story, our history. But where we still can listen to our language, and I think this will last forever. I really think is in music. So in our songs, they're still there, and then we can sing in New York City our language to the walls of Manhattan. And yeah, so and there's a lot of also investigation about what the lyrics means. And then I will pass. Sorry, I needed to introduce. Okinawa is always this. You have to introduce a lot to add a point. And then there is one verse that was interpreted as is this one, Mariko? It was interpreted like when we are lost in the ocean, like we can like our parents will guide us, our ancestors. The North Star, yeah. And I mean, there are many other verses in Chisago no Hana that is saying this, but there's an interpretation from also Wesley Yunting from the State University of San Francisco that, yeah, like the parents, they are guiding us, but also the kid, like in this verse, it's like, no, the kid is guiding the parents. So like also we are born and we are carrying our dreams, our ancestors, and we are also guiding maybe some for somewhere that is good. So sorry, I speak too much. I'll be back. I'll be back.
Thank you. Thank you, Victor. Yeah. Now we will pass it over to Yuken-san.
Kusuyo Chuganabira. My name is Yuken. I'm a contemporary artist coming from Okinawa. I'm happen to be from same village where from Lex grammars village. I'm from Tsukazan village. And thank you guys for your invitations. I was practicing art, contemporary art, in New York for 20 years, and now I'm based in Berlin, Germany, and sort of half Berlin, half Okinawa. And and I was happened to be here, and they warmly invited me to be part of this gathering. So I'm very honored to be part of this very important, very touched gathering. And so I was wondering how I can be part of this event, and I just selected 2 shows I had be part of it, and maybe that would fit to sort of the notion we are talking about and the direction we are kind of figuring out. And one project I also like to add introduction of recent project I just did in Okinawa. So thank you again. Thank you for your attention. Maybe I have just several slides only, but let's begin. So I'm gonna use this. So again, I think I'm going to show 2 show that from the past, something to do with history and museum studies. Maybe eventually touched upon decolonialization issues, but this one is a show that took place in Asia Society. That's in New York. It was called show. It's a series of show called Rockefeller in Focus, and I was invited. Well, each year they invite artists to help them make work about their collection, which is a Rockefeller, John D. Third Rockefeller collection that's now handled by Asia Society. So that was a long time ago already. It was 2007. I was selected, and I went through all the archives of the Rockefeller collections they have, which is an Asian collection. So I picked a jar from Ming dynasties. Thank you. And because I was searching for the connections, an opportunity for me to get connected to my own inherited background, and what I can do, be part of the sort of creative energy in New York City. So I have chosen that jar from Ming Dynasty, and I found the aesthetics of it. I see the common ground, a strong connection with the Ryukyu kingdom's aesthetics that you can see from a kimono to kimono robes and various colorful aesthetics in our traditional art in Okinawa or from Ryukyu Kingdom. And see this jar. I don't have any good more pictures, but I have that's a collection that it's sit on the center of the space, and when I picked the jar, I was constantly being monitored by security guards and curators. I was never able to even touch the jar. So it became very frustration because it's supposed to come with function, and it's usable thing, and I was learned that it was used to be sat on the garden, and but it become like once they become collection. It becomes something else, and I felt this strong disconnections from the history, from the real thing but I felt sort of all these obstacles between object and me. Although I felt very something close relationship because I just said the aesthetics that I'm coming from are there in Chinese culture. So that was exciting. exciting moment, but I did, I couldn't get it really. I never really felt it physically. So this frustration becomes sort of appeared kind of appeared to be appeared in installation. So as I doing it, as I processing this idea, I began to think, well, you see this carp fish depicted along the jar. There are 8 fish there. I feel like I want them to be free, like released from the jar. Or how I'm trying to figure out how I can make those patterns more closely felt to us. So the sort of the two outcome kind of come out. One is to make a dress so that you can actually wear. I mean, the dress that comes with a pattern that inspired by the jar, but that also naturally related to the traditional pattern of the kimono from Okinawa as well. So there's a beautiful natural connections. But this kimono, you can wear it, you can touch it, you can even wear it. And that's one of my output. The second one is, if you see this orange shopping bag you're familiar with from Chinatown, I realized that the old orange bags are actually a fish. I mean, I thought I make it look like the bags floating around the jar. To me, the bags represent sort of fish, I mean, carp that finally come out from the jar and becoming more close to your reality, our reality. So that's my sort of my my response to the collection. But I think my message was to show, I think, two things with kimono piece. I I was emphasizing this strong aesthetic connection with the Ryukyu and Ming Dynasty. And the second is, my second message might be Asian form of Asian art doesn't necessarily to be categorized with Western perception or Western art. That doesn't need to be categorized the same way the Western art categorize artwork. You cannot say, well, it can be just say, porcelain or ceramics, but because maybe it can be described differently. That might be more connected to our reality or sense of life or something like that. Oh, that's some other details of the installation. So this is the next example that might kind of connect to what I had experienced in Asia Society, but that one took place in Berlin, Germany. It was a show called Humboldt Lab, and similarly for Asian Society show, I was invited to see their collection, Rockefeller Asia collection. Here, this occasion, I was also invited to see their collection and make show out of it. Those collections are actually all from Ryukyu Kingdom. That were all the collections were collected in 1844, right before Ryukyu Kingdom annexed to Japan. And those collection called Ryukyu collection or Okinawa collection will never be public, never presented to the public. So it was the first time for them to show Okinawan collections. They were sleeping in a storage for many years. My proposal was first of all, I have to I have to say that seeing those items, there are many robes, like indigo dyed dresses, or fukugi, like yellow color fukugi, vegetable color dyed dresses, and some lacquerwares. Unfortunately, there are not many. They couldn't keep the original collections safe because they had gone through the World War II, and many items seems to have also taken to Russia afterward. So they don't have complete collection of the Ryukyu kingdom in the collection. But my response, well, my response to their collection was to do maybe like, roughly two ways. One is to again to make another kimono works as response to the collection. The second was to propose to bring a new collection for the future. So that was the two sort of big two bodies that I was making through this show. Oh wait, if you see this, this is the installation view. So what you see on the right behind this back to the space, you see like a fabric like running through the mid-air. So that's the sort of tamono fabric I made. I designed and dyed with the technique or with using aesthetic of a Bingata dye technique in Okinawa. And if you see to the left, this is you see the object sort of floating in midair. So this is a collection that I collected from Okinawa independently and proposed them to have it for the future as a new collection. Aesthetically, they're kind of I keep the similar aesthetics. Two objects seems to be like floating in the same manner, in the same sort of sense of space. So this is the detail. I mean, this is the tamono, and this is the layout of object, but I kind of keep that object in the same aesthetics as tamono within the show. So it was big challenging for me to propose what could be a new collection for the museum in Europe, and that meant to be kept for another 500 years or forever. And I don't have any like curatorial degree or anything, but my collection I collected independently is mostly items from grassroots movement in Okinawa, or yes, as you see the picture of the Hajichi from my relatives, and some war leftover from World War II that became sort of houseware, like cups and dishes. So those like items that kind of you can trace back to the scar of World War II, but also because of that, Okinawa becoming the center of the big peace movement, a peace grass movement in Asia, in Japan. So my collection is sort of to embrace people's struggle and activities and the spirit that haven't faded last 80 years. So that was sort of my heart of the sort of concept of the selection of the items I proposed to them, including the picture of a dragon. I have a Utah friend. How do you call Utah in English? Shaman. I have many shaman friends, and who casually take a picture of dragon. They one of them claimed that this is a picture of dragon, and that I also proposed this like snapshot for them to be part of the collection, and I so those connection with natural power is still alive, and it's real in Okinawan life. I was really I was open to that, and this is a detail of the Tammono scroll. You see, people looks like a marching or procession or even protest. It's mixed. It's both. It's everything that you could see in Okinawa, and people's it, in the pattern are actually based on the real, existed people in history of Okinawa. Some of them died. Some of them are still active. They're gonna be die anyway in while it's becoming a collection. So everybody from the present, past, it's gonna be the same story. This is how that later I have them the scroll to be tailored. This is how it look. And this tammono was about 30 meters long. It didn't fit in a space. It's kind of piercing through the two spaces, which I really like. I like that this attitude. It's as if it shows it doesn't fit in this, museum scale. I like that how when they agree to do it. And all these collections, new collections I submitted, proposed, they're all accepted. And so I'm very happy. I think it was significant meaning to people in Okinawa. Those items or materials are now be part of the collection. Collection in museum in Germany. I think. Okay. So that's that. And let me just add at the end. This is a flyer of the stage event I just made last month in Okinawa. It's Okinawa. It's my first experience of making a stage piece, but it's it's Okinawa version of the Mozart opera, the Zauberflöte, the magic flute. So I used that. I found that I was inspired by the overture of the opera. I personally saw the scenery of Okinawa landscape within Mozart's aesthetics in his music, and the original magic, the original storyline has a very interesting aspect that I somehow fit to this Okinawan's issue. So I tried to combine that. So try to use this magic flute as a driving vehicle to carry to sort of as a messenger to send what's happening in Okinawa within the context of more like magic flute that everybody knows. So that's something I'm kind of interested in. I see a lot of common theme between Okinawa and outside. I mean, internationally outside Okinawa. So I I think it's important to find similar value and in a struggle that we all have, not only in Asia, not only in Okinawa, but we all have in Western world too. So that's what I discovered, and something art can do for us. Well, thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gen-san. I'm also realizing we're a little bit at time, so we'll pass it over to Victor. Does that sound okay? Okay.
Hi, everyone. Again, Yuken, thank you so much for being with us. It's so important, the arts. It's a way for us to represent ourselves. It's a way for us to express ourselves and to heal ourselves also. And we have a lot to do. We still don't exist, as you showed, in the museums, in the galleries, in the theaters. And I will be speaking about arts too. Can I have them? Yeah. Yeah, so I've been researching about performing arts and how it's linked to ancestral knowledge and planetary health. And of course, I would like to also bring some of references from indigenous peoples from Brazil. Now we have great leaders and philosophers, indigenous philosophers, talking about the importance of arts, the body, songs, dance, for us to decolonize ourselves. Because the point is, we are all actually, we are all born in nation states that colonize ourselves to be good citizens and speak one language, to have an identity. Not just the indigenous peoples, but all of us. And then maybe the art is a way for us to go and let's say make friction with these boundaries. And then I wanted to bring some performers and some artists, researchers from Brazil. Also, like as I said, we have a big community. Not all of them can be here. And to say how important was and is to have our dance, Okinawan dance in Brazil. During the PhD, I was also inspired by some Black intellectuals, such as Stuart Hall, and this book, like Black Atlantic. Also because other diasporic people also survived through the same tools. So the body was what would be for the Black community without music and dance, and what would be of music and dance without the Black community and people. And I think it was not through scholarship, it was not through official discourse, but it was through the body that they and we survived psychologically, socially. And this is Satoru Saito. He's a master of Ryukyu dance in Brazil. He's a third generation. And we realized that we don't have a lot of images of Ryukyu kingdom. But when he dances, when there's a dance spectacle, there's the Ryukyu kingdom for some minutes appeared for us. So we can finally, oh, of course, yes, it was like this. So I wanted to show you a short video, just a piece of the video of this spectacle that he... Sorry, this is the Secretary of Culture of Brazil, which is already supporting us then.
Orilbo nasceu do coração das pessoas. As orações de desejo de felicidade, prosperidade e agradecimento aos deuses transformaram-se em gestos e as palavras de reza em música. Com o tempo, foi se refinando e se transformando em artes performativas. Podemos considerar que é a raiz das danças okinawanas. Okinawa tem sido um local de crença religiosa desde os tempos antigos. O surgimento de Nirai Kanai, buscando uma utopia no além do mar, as pessoas interagiam com os deuses cantando e dançando.
So he's talking about how the spirituality and ancestrality is linked to the dance and to the movements we do to dance. You'll not be able to see everything. I can leave the link later. But yeah, this is the Ryukyu dance in Brazil. This is Brazil. So yeah, so I just want to show a little bit more. Oh, it's okay? How much time? Okay, great. So we've been cultivating the traditional arts of Ryukyu in Brazil through the Kenjinkais, through the artists, né? Also connected, like, for example, Satoru Saito, he is connected to a school, né, in Okinawa. So a lot of exchange also. But also we've been recreating, né, the contemporary artists are recreating our bodies the way we can. Many of us are also rebuilding, né, an identity that was lost, especially after we discovered we are indigenous. This was so powerful, né, because we were just an ethnic minority, and then when we come to the UN, for example, we find out that we are 400 million indigenous peoples in the world, né? And there are differences, but also we can identify very easily with the issues and also the importance of dance and songs in other indigenous cultures. So here I wanted to bring, she's a friend also, Lucia Kakazu. She is working in a piece called Mabui. And also rediscovering like this women's spiritual power, né, through the dance. So just a piece. And so this is the teaser of the the work. And Lucia was nominated for, no, she won actually a national award for memory in dance. This is very recent, very new that the Asian Brazilians, they are starting to get recognized in the field. So it was very good and very important for us. And here, just a little bit for what was the result for me to discover I was an indigenous person when I was already 30 years old, finishing a PhD in social science, starting with the homoerotism in Japanese literature in post-war. And then I discovered I was an indigenous person, like all this colonization, the process of colonization of the territories also are the colonization of the bodies and the desires and all this. So after that, it was so strong for me that I decided to move to a farm. So I live in São Paulo, which is a big city. I should have started with a picture of São Paulo, né? But São Paulo is bigger than New York. Okay, it's a 20 million people city. But then I thought that it would be important to being an indigenous person to what can I learn from the land directly, from the forest. So we moved, me and my partner, who's also a performer, he's there dancing. And we opened this arts residency in the Atlantic Forest. So this is more or less 100 kilometers from the city. And I mean, we talk a lot about the Amazon, which is really, really very important. But in the coast of Brazil, we have this Atlantic rainforest, we just have 10% of this forest now. So we are living in the remainings of this forest. And we started like a process of regeneration. Né? So here is when we arrived. This is 2015. So we built this working space for singing, dancing, theater, or meditation to be there. And now it's like this. So this is 10 years later. So we started to replant the forest, but not just we. Né? Most of this work it was done by the birds, the wind, the other trees. I mean, it's amazing, like the power that we have to regenerate is like an ecological law. And I mean, this is just because we didn't throw any poison in the land. And also because we partnered with the community to have a reforestation process. And so now we are planting, they call like fruitful native trees. So they are also food. It's agroforest. And I think that there's a relation between this power of regeneration and the power of regeneration of our cultures, our languages, our minds. Now, the Brazilian indigenous philosophers, they've been talking about the reforestation of the minds. So we've been, of course, we've been so sad and depressed and like we almost lost the hope because everything is made that we lose the hope. And then our way to fight and to regenerate is also reforesting the minds and the dreams and what kind of dream we can dream together. Né? And yeah, so just some activities that we've been doing there. And of course, is also now a point of culture, which is a program from Brazilian government to have in rural areas like points of arts where we've been receiving artists from all around the world, by the way. So also if you're interested, please get in touch with us and let's talk. Né? These connections. And then this is with our communities around the neighborhood. We've been doing events to replant and talk about reforestation and the indigenous land of Brazil and of Ryukyu Okinawa. Né? Here is like my last research. I'm not gonna go deep in this, just to comment, because after when I went there, like you see the waters, you live very close to the waters. Now you see the water falling from the sky. The water fall from the sky. It's so crazy, né? Like we forget this sometimes, and go underground, and then it's born in the food that we eat, né? And the waters are inside us too. Like we drink the waters, and then we pee out. And it's very beautiful. And it seems, I've heard, Mariko, that this water that we drink, this one, is the same water that ever, there's no exchange with outside. So it's the same water that our ancestors drank, is the same water that we drink. So we should honor always the waters, never forget. And also because the identity is very important that we remember where we are from, and then just finish. This is the video clip. We can later, we'll have the continuation of this event, you know that. So, but this is a video clip that we, yeah, I think I'm gonna show the video clip. It's more important than the,
I think we're over time.
okay. It's on YouTube. It calls Canto pela Paz, Let's Get Along. It's a song for peace and love. And yeah. And just to finish, like we've been working with this idea of planetary health and planetary identity, because we have to remember where we're from, honor our roots. In the same time, dialectically, we should remember we're all parts of this earth, which is a beautiful earth. We should never forget this. The sky. Look at the sky, and it's so crazy. And for us to remember Ichariba Choodee, like as a universal value. Now, when we truly meet someone, this person becomes your brothers and sisters, and we can remember we are related. We have our common ancestors, which is sometimes a grandfather or a great-grandfather, but also a frog or a bird and a fish and some water. So we've been working in this. This now, it's my new research about the planetary arts and planetary health, which is, I think, is very linked also for us to revitalize our languages, to honor this common house we have. Yeah. And okay, so are we singing? Can we have? Are we singing?
Yeah,
I think not right now.
Okay.
We are
so
a little
just to
bit over.
explain a little bit, and then we will sing in the second part. Then, like now, this event is part of the UN Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues. We partnered with iINDIGENOUS, which I would like to thank you very much, because it's very special for us to be together. Then in the next hour, we will have like an arrangement of the space. Here we have a market of Indigenous people's art market. So please support and see this. There are people from all over the world that came to New York. So also to help with the expenses. So during this hour, we're gonna do some arrangements. We'll do some rehearsal also. And then at 5, we will start the second part of the event. Do you wanna?
So we start from 5. So we do this arrangement, but if you want to sign in, and then you can come back. And then donation is welcome. So this is a housekeeping.
And then if you agree, we can sing together. I think it will be great. So prepare yourselves.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I'm speaking
I think,
Portuguese.
No, thank you all so much for coming. As you know, we are very much on island or indigenous time. We started about half hour over, but thank you so much for your kind attention, your presence, your energy. We have woven a beautiful prayer together. I know that time is relative, does not really exist, but please know that the seeds and the ideas that we've planted here today go out further and further. And so please reach out anytime. All of our information is online. Victor's videos that we sadly didn't get a chance to get to, they're very powerful and worth watching. So please by all means, like take a look. But yeah, let's have a huge round of applause for all of our panelists. Thank you, Yuken-san, for joining. Lex, Victor, Shinako-san, thank you so much. Ippeni hedebitan, thank you so much.
Let's keep talking after.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hai gusuyo chuga nabira. Wanne Kinjo Victoria Yubin Yuta Sarugutu Unige Sabira. Hello everyone. Good night. Good evening. Buenas noches. I would like to first of all thank you very much for being here and thank you very much iINDIGENOUS for this meeting, this celebration. It's so important that we are together in these times, so hard times. So thank you very much. So I'm Victor Kinjo. I am a Brazilian, Ryukyuan Brazilian, which means that I'm born and raised in Brazil, in São Paulo. But my grandparents and great-grandparents come from Ryukyu, Okinawa, which is a chain of islands between Japan and Taiwan. We had a symposium today. We have our friends here from Ryukyu. And today I would like to perform for you, to express a little bit of my diasporic identity. So mixing a little bit of Brazilian music and Ryukyuan music. Y un poco también de español, un poco de todo en este grande calderón que es este mundo, ese lindo mundo, ¿no? Entonces espero que le gusten. Son canciones, la mayoría canciones que yo escribí. Entonces muchas gracias por estarnos juntos aquí. Esto se llama Yotsudake. Era de mi abuela, que ha traído de Ryukyu. Pero yo, bueno, como nací en Brasil, ¿no? Me influencié muchísimo por la música tradicional de Brasil, especialmente de Nordeste, the Northeast of Brazil. So I'm now mixing a little bit of the instruments from Ryukyu, Okinawa, and the Brazilian music from the different parts of the country. So it made a lot of sense for me, like a Okinawan South American event. So it completes my identity. Thank you very much. This song calls Permissão. Abre caminho pelo mundo. Abre caminho pela vida. Se parar por um segundo, divinal é o céu e a terra. Abrir o coração da gente, corpo, condição e a mente, a semente do presente. Cê pintou, cantor valente. Peço licença, minha senhora e meu senhora, pai, minha mãe das doces águas, vô e avó, peço sua bênção. Eu vim de longe, vim de um reino do passado, pra plantar feijão, quiabo, milho, couve, amor, amora. Abre caminho pelo mundo, abre caminho pela vida. Se parar por um segundo, divinal é o céu e a terra. Abrir o coração da gente, corpo, condição e a mente, a semente do presente. Cê pintou, cantou valente. Peço licença, minha senhora e meu senhora, pai, minha mãe das doces águas, voi avó, peço sua benção. Eu vim de longe, vim de um reino do passado, pra plantar feijão, quiabo, milho, couve, amor, amora. Obrigado, Debiru. Thank you very much. Oh, well. Tudo bem? Acho que tá alguma coisa dando uma microfonia. Oh, I'm speaking Portuguese. Yeah, so this song calls Permissão. I was also inspired in the history of immigration, the diaspora, né? My grandparents came to Brazil and became farmers, né? And then, yeah, so thank you. Yes, and then this is the Yotsudake, but the rhythm is the Boi do Maranhão. It's a rhythm from Brazilian traditional music. Yes, and this is it calls Sanshin, 3 chords. And it's a traditional instrument from Ryukyu, Okinawa. I've heard that when the immigrants came to Brazil, they brought the tablet of the ancestors, 2 things, the tablet of the ancestors and this instrument, so we can express what is in our heart. Né? And yeah, so we'll sing a traditional song, the next one. But first, so we can get warmer, I would like to perform a song from a Brazilian composer, it's Gilberto Gil. He's a very amazing composer, but with the Sanshin. Yeah, so it's a version. This song calls Lugar Comum, which means like a common place, né? Like this planet, for example, a common place for all of us. Beira do mar, lugar comum, começo do caminhar pra beira de outro lugar, à beira do mar, todo mar é um. Começo do caminhar pra dentro do fundo azul. Água bateu, o vento soprou, o fogo do sol, o sol do Senhor. Tudo isso vem. Tudo isso vai pro mesmo lugar de onde tudo sai, beira do mar, lugar comum, começo do caminhar pra dentro do fundo azul. Água bateu, o vento soprou, o fogo do sol, o sal do Senhor. Tudo isso vem, tudo isso vai pro mesmo lugar de onde tudo sai, beira do mar, lugar comum, começo do caminhar pra dentro do fundo azul. Começo do caminhar pra dentro do fundo azul. Começo do caminhar pra dentro do fundo azul. Thank you, obrigado. Lugar comum, very beautiful this planet, né? So now we had a symposium today, earlier, about the Ryukyu, and we were remembering that the traditional songs, there's a very high, this is really true high technology in traditional ancestral songs, which is the calling chorus. How do you say this in English? Calling response. So like this song that we're gonna sing now is a song from Ryukyu, Okinawa. Our language, Uchinaguchi, is in danger of disappearance. But it didn't disappear because we don't speak, many people don't speak Uchinaguchi anymore, but we sing in the language. And this is in Brazil, in Peru, in Okinawa, everywhere where there is the diaspora. And so the music is, the language is alive in the songs. And there's a way for teaching it's a way for teaching the teachings, the philosophy of our people through the songs, né? So I would like to invite my Okinawan friends to be here close. Do you wanna, Mariko? No? Come, Shinako, please. Lex, so people can see you too. Yeah, Yuki, yeah. Please, here. We'll be fine, you'll be fine. Entonces, yeah, so this is our delegation at the UN Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues. We've been fighting for our recognition as an indigenous peoples by the state government, and also trying to free our territory from military bases and from colonization. So please, como que é aplauso mesmo? Uma salva de aplausos para minha delegação. I think they just need
Yeah,
to,
maybe they
yeah,
need to
it's
see
okay?
that.
Yeah, so I would like to propose something, if you can help us to save our language, if we can sing together this song. There's the lyrics here. Can you, do you want to come, like, just this song at least? So William, por favor. Bueno, entonces todos, por favor, que pueden cantar con nosotros en nuestra lengua. Y se va a pasar, como yo decía, vamos a cantar una vez y después la repetición. Voy a pedir a todos que cantemos juntos. ¿Puede ser? Mis amigas de Ecuador, ¿puede ser?
So Victor first and then me repeat.
Yeah. Please sing strong.
Yeah,
Okay.
we will go back.
Chibario.
So we're just singing the last two lines.
No, I think we're gonna sing the whole verse, and then everyone we can repeat the whole verse. Okay? It's in Roman language there. 진사구 하나야 지미사 지미수미티 우야누유시구두야 지문이수미. Everybody. 진사구 하나야 지미사 지미수미디 우야노유시구두야 지문이 숨이. Sorry, excuse me. Again, we're gonna do again. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the lyrics so we can understand better. Okay. So Chinsagu is a flower from Ryukyu, red flower, right? Balsam flower. So it's saying as well as the fingertips, my fingertips get inked with the ink of the flower. So my heart is also inked. Stained, dyed. Oh, it's there, ne? Where's the translation?
Can we go to the next slide? Like the photo.
Oh, there you go. So, like the balsam flower dye coating our fingernails, the teaching of our parents, our ancestors, coat our hearts. Yunken, come please. Yeah, we need. Yeah, so it's meaning that we should never forget the teachings of our ancestors. I mean, we become so many things in the world, but we are not like an individual alone. There are people that came before us, and they are always here with us. Ne? So let's never forget to thank our ancestors. And the second part that we're gonna sing, I think it's very. This song has different verses, but we chose this one. Ne? It's saying you can do anything if you try, but you can't do if you don't try. And we are trying and we are working for a free world, a world with peace and love. And so we are very glad that we are here. So let's sing again from the beginning. 진사구누 하나야 지미사 지미수미디 우야누유시구두야 지문이 수미리 진사구누 하나야 지미사 지미수미디 우야누유시구두야 지문이 수미리. Second part. 나시바나니구둔 나유루구두야시가 야사유이카라두 나라는 사다미. Great. 나시바나니구둔 나유루구도야시가 야사유이카라두 나란 사다미. I'm having this idea we can every year we come and we practice together. I think when we all will be singing, maybe our language will not be endangered anymore. Ne? So thank you very much for pronouncing the words of our endangered language, my friends, my brothers and sisters. It means a lot for us. Vou tocar uma minha. Yeah, so to finish this part, there's a song that I would like to share. Ryan, please, is the one with the video. It's a song that also inspired in all this. When we come to the UN and we see everything the world is living with the wars. Yes, this one. We have a video clip, so also if you can look in the internet, my name is Victor Kinjo. There's also on Spotify and Instagram and all this. This is where I live in the Atlantic Forest. We are trying to recuperate, and this is my partner, Eduardo, that I'm happy that he's here too in the presence. So this song calls Canto pela Paz, Let's Get Along. We have more volume a little bit? Oh, at least here in the return, please. Eu canto pela paz no céu, na terra. Let's get along, amor e água. Somos todos irmãos, parem a guerra. Let's get along, amor e água. You sing for peace, for love, on earth, on heaven. Let's get along, amor e água. We are all sisters, brothers, mothers, stop the war. Let's get along, amor e água. Sudão, Israel e Palestina, Burkina Faso, Myanmar, Ukraine, Russia, Nigeria and Syria. Let's get along, amor e água. Cantamos pela paz no céu, na terra. Let's get along, amor e água. We are all sisters, brothers, and mothers, stop the war. Let's get along, amor e água. USA, NATO, Korea and China, Eurásia, Taiwan e Japão. A vida é o tesouro no do Tacará. Let's get along, amor e água. Come, come for love, my dear. Come to be river now. Dá graças a la vida. Let's get along, amor e água. Stop the war, genocide, apartheid and hunger. Everyone has the right to well living and to be happy. Mundo, mundo, vasto mundo. There is land, food, house, water and everything for everybody. We just lack justice, awareness, peace and love. Cessar fogo já, ceasefire now. Brasil, Okinawa e Isratina, Pacífica, África, toda América. Vamos reformar Nações Unidas. Let's get along, o mundo é Let's get along, o mundo é Come, come for love, my dear. Come to the river now. Dar graças a la vida. Let's get along, amor e água. Let's get along, amor e água. Let's get along, amor e água. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias. Que tenhamos fuerza, amor, mucha paz, mucha amistad, mucha afectividad entre nosotros. a lot of love and peace. Guys, we are together. We are a lot of people, and let's follow our hearts, our friendship, and let's take care and love a lot this planet because it's a wonderful, wonderful, most beautiful house ever, our common house. Thank you very much.